Hello, scrapping friends. It's Jen from JennScrapbookNook.com. I'm working on a layout today and thought I'd go ahead and film the process. And I'm working off of a sketch that I found on the Shimelle.com website. Her website, SHIMELLE.com. This is kind of a layout she posts periodically, and you can create your own version and link it up to her website. So I recently discovered her site, and it has some really great ideas and sketches to start with. So I thought I'd try the one that she posted recently, but I need to make it work for my photos. This sketch is meant for 2 vertical 4x6 photos, and the photos that I'm going to be working with today are a horizontal 4x6 and then a smaller, I don't know if this is 3.5 by 5. It's almost just a unique shape because it was a portrait done for my son's soccer team. So this is a picture of the team kind of being goofy, and then a picture of my son, and then I also have an 8x10 photo of the whole team, which of course is very wrinkled because my son put it in his gym bag when they handed them out. So I'll have to flatten that out a little bit, but that will be on one page, and then this layout will work on the other. So what I decided to do was actually flip the sketch, and I'm going to put the title at the top, and my photo mat box is going to be larger due to the size of my photos, but I thought what I could do is arrange them perhaps on cardstock with some journaling here that I will type, and I could cut around, trim around here. So my box is going to be wider than this one, but I think I can make it work. And so what I did is I turned over my paper, and I used my son James's light box. He loves to trace and draw and create, and so he happens to have one of those light boxes that you turn on and turn it upside down, and you can go ahead and trace through. So this is what I'm thinking my page is going to be oriented. I won't put the journaling up top. I'd put that down lower, and of course I'm going to have less open space on my page by shifting everything over. So in order to put my page together based on that sketch, oops, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and create my photo mat block. That will be the center portion. And then I went through my stash and picked out some papers. These are from the Rough and Tough line of fancy pants, and I liked this grid. I thought it was colorful. It has the black in it from the mat on the photos, which is why I'm pulling out the black cardstock. And it also has blue and green, which are my son's soccer team colors. And then it also has some gray. If you notice, they're wearing their gray training shirts in this particular picture. And then it's got some oranges and some white and other colors. So I thought this was a great colorful page and ties in the colors in the photos. And to accent that, I found in the same Rough and Tough collection this Boys Will Be Boys paper. I don't intend to use this portion. I might be able to trim it off and save it for something else. But I liked this tone-on-tone patterned paper. I thought this might work nicely to accent. And on the back is a colorful polka dot. I don't know that I'll use this, but I haven't ruled out that I might be able to work it in somewhere. And then for the base or background of my page, I'm going to use this Bow Bunny double dot paper. I love this paper. It's just kind of a tone-on-tone, and I like to use this oftentimes as a background rather than a solid cardstock. So I'm hoping that it works. It's dotted on one side, solid on the other, but I'm going to use the dotted side. And on the back of, I didn't show you the back of this grid, is just kind of a framed picture, or framed page, which I don't intend to use at all. So I'm going to make this pattern paper the thicker column that goes behind the larger photo mat. So I'm going to go ahead and get my photos matted and some of this paper trimmed up. Once I have the basic framework of the layout in place, then I'm going to worry about the title and embellishments. I did choose, if you look, she's got kind of a funky label that the title is on, and so I went through my dies and I found these quick cuts. They're almost like a large ticket sign die, and I'm not sure what size will work best, but I thought perhaps I could use that to house my title rather than a fancy feminine label like in the sketch. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll meet you back here for the next step. Okay, so here is where I am right now, and remember, we're working off of the kind of inverted and reversed version of Chamille Sketch, and mine's not going to have as much open space over here because my photo block is a lot larger due to the size of the photos that I'm working with, but just so you can kind of see that reference point. I've got my photos mounted, and I actually don't care for the blue that I put behind the photo mat. I think I may change that out or just remove it altogether. It's causing a couple of problems. First of all, it's making my photo mat, which is already very large, even larger. And secondly, it's just kind of getting lost and almost making the photo mat disappear into the page. I thought it would help offset it a little because I intended to use black for my border strips. So I'm toying with the idea now of just removing the blue, letting the black go on black, and just seeing how that looks. So the jury's still out on what I'm going to do there. So I'm going to set that aside for a minute and just show you what I've done with my edge cuts. Chamille used this particular punch on the example that she showed with this sketch, and I had this that, you know, I purchased it a little while ago, and I've actually never used it. It was one of those things, you know, I kept seeing it in the magazines and I had to have it, and then I thought this would be a good opportunity to actually put it to use. When I work with border punches though, sometimes, and this is just something that I'm going to do, if you notice these are not full 12 by 12, but I don't get an even punch because I'm so concerned about getting the actual punch shapes cut properly that the edge won't exactly match up. So I did an 8.5 by 11 strip, and I did that twice, and then I trimmed off the edges that weren't completely cut. And I did 2 of these, and I intend to tuck them under. But remember, our photo mat is going to cover part of this. So what I will do is snip these strips in the middle and shift part of it down. So you'll never know that it's not a continuous 12 by 12 border. So only you and I will know that it actually isn't fully connected underneath the photo mat. So I just wanted to show you that little trick because that happens with scallops and everything else. When I use these punches, I start in the middle and work my way out to the edges, and so, you know, I might have half a bracket on one and then a full bracket on the other or something like that, and I would prefer my borders to line up evenly, and since the seam is going to be hidden, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to toy around, I think, with this. I'm going to try and remove this photo mat off. Maybe we can just take a look right now. And then what I may do is add a blue strip in between the grid paper and the black edge. Oh, ripping my paper. And of course I used my ATG gun, so it's totally stuck down, which means this paper is going to be ruined. But trial and error, right? Okay, well, I'll do a better job pulling this off in a minute, but let's just... Okay, I decided on a gray for the photo mat, and I think that that works a lot better. At least I feel better about it. It's just a little more subtle. That blue was too distracting. And then I thought I would show you how I plan to adhere down my border strip. As you can see, I already cut it where the empty space is going to be hidden, and then I just used a little bit of Scotch removable tape to hold the border in place. I kind of eyeballed it and tucked it under because I'm going to have a little bit of it overlap. And then, let's see, I cut my blue pieces, and I think I'm going to ink the edges of these before I adhere them down to go ahead over the seams. But in order to adhere this now, I'm simply going to flip it over, and let's see, where'd my glue pen go? Oops, sorry. You can kind of bend this back very nicely. Little strip of glue pen. And what I like about the glue pen is it's forgiving. You know, you can move it around a little bit at first. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those, flip it back over, make sure that I've got it nice and lined up the way I want it. And then in a minute or two, I'll go ahead and remove the removable tape. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Whoops. Careful not to go off the end. And I'm just using Creative Memories glue pen. I like this. It stays wet a little longer than the, oh, those other glue pens that everybody uses. I have them too. Those tend to, sorry, I keep reaching, the Zig two-way glue pens. Those tend to dry faster. So this way, if I need to move something around, and those look pretty even, if I need to move something around with this glue pen, it's still a little bit wet for a minute or two. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take off the, whoops, removable tape. Okay, well, once again, I'm changing my mind on what I want to do here. And I was toying around with using the label for the title here and there, and then I decided to keep it kind of clean, at least with respect to the title, because this paper is so busy, and actually put the title onto the open space in my photo mat block. And Arsenal is the name of his team, and at the beginning I said the colors were blue and green, and the color of the organization is navy blue and green for him, but his particular team is Arsenal, and they use red. So that's where I'm getting the title from, and it also pulls in the red color in the grid paper. Now this isn't adhered down yet. These are Quick Cuts dies from, I think it's a really old font called Roxy, so I just die cut those, and I've lined them up perfectly. And this is a trick that I've used, oh gosh, it's been around forever with respect to adhering titles or die cuts together. I've taken some of that same removable tape, and in order to make it not quite so sticky, I've kind of touched it to my pant leg to get some lint on it, just so it won't adhere too closely to the letters. And I folded over the edges, and what I'm going to do is just place it on top. And now I'm going to pick it up, and I can easily turn it over and add my glue pen. And it makes it really nice to be able to, whoops, here's my glue pen, adhere your title down perfectly. Instead of doing one letter at a time, and let me make sure I'm in camera doing this, I just kind of use my glue pen to dot, dot, dot. And again, with the glue pen, once I adhere it down, if I need to move it around a smidge here or there, I can. So I'm just dot, dot, dotting. You have to work somewhat quickly. This does dry, they say in 30 seconds, but I think you've got a little longer than that. So I'm just making sure I've got enough glue on here that it will be permanent. Okay, and I think that should be good. So if you see, I can position this, you know, and see where the title is going to look anywhere on my page, but I can get it exactly centered. Oops, sorry if I'm in the camera. And I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to push these letters down. And you do have to let it adhere for a minute, otherwise when you pull your tape up, you'll pull your letters off too. And I'm just going to peel down while I kind of hold the top of the letters. And I can reuse this over and over again. And you can buy that removable tape at Office Max or Office Depot. Normal office supply stores usually carry that. And here I'm just kind of straightening out my letters a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. Sorry, I'm holding it up to me because my angle is different than yours a little bit. So now I need to think about embellishments. So I've got my title, I have my photo mat, and if I'm still following the sketch, I can add some kind of label, and perhaps I'll use this for journaling, and I need to balance it out with something over on the edge, and I might just cut a label there. So that's really the next step, working in a spot for journaling, seeing if I'm going to adhere to the sketch more or perhaps deviate more, and still thinking about how to make my photos set off from this really busy patterned paper. So perhaps putting a label, tucking it underneath the photo mat. Whoops, if I can get this under here, I might have glue right there, but I'm wondering if I have, you know, perhaps a label coming out from the bottom, maybe off to the side like that for journaling. That may work and still hold somewhat true to the original sketch, not the inverted version that I thought I was going to have. I didn't like the title up here. It just wasn't, I wasn't able to work it in the way that I liked. So I'm thinking the label might work well really well over here, just a little bit off center for my journaling, and that would add a solid space to further break this up and then balance it out with some kind of embellishment in the upper right hand corner. And I'm sorry if I wasn't holding that. So more similar to the original sketch. So back in a minute. Okay, and here's the completed page. So after much ado about twisting and turning the sketch, I ended up sticking to the original orientation of the page, did a little bit of modification to the title and journaling. I went ahead and typed up my journaling because I was keeping the look and lines of this page pretty clean, so I didn't want too much to distract, and sometimes my handwriting is a little bit distracting, although I do like to actually write on a lot of my pages. But for this one I typed up journaling, and then to add the finishing touch, one thing I really liked about this sketch were the little dots that she used paint splatters on hers. But again, keeping with the clean lines of this page, I used a simple star punch and just punched a bunch of these little stars out of gray cardstock and used those instead of an ink splatter. Also added a few little stickers I found in my stash from some old Scenic Route sticker sheets, and just kind of wild and crazy because this was a picture where the team just kind of let loose and took a random shot. And then of course on the opposite page I'll put the full 8x10 portrait of the team. And then I used the everyday sticker because this team practices 6 days a week. It's a new team for my son, and it's, you know, has these intense daily practices, so I put every day on there since that was something new. So anyway, this is the completed page. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and again, the original sketch was on Shamel.com, and I'll try and link this up. I think she's got a way that you can post layouts to her website when you've completed them. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching the process of this page evolve, and I look forward to seeing your videos on your scrapbook layouts on YouTube as well. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.